move on. It's Battle of the Male Feminists once again. This time it's between Matty Healy, if you didn't know, he's the lead singer of the 1975, and Yungblud, who may be more influential at this point, actually, since he like rubs shoulders with Travis Barker and MGK and all of these like old dudes that are trying to bring pop punk back. I'm not here for it. I think Yungblud is a major industry plant.
Is there anyone you think
no confirmed information on that?
An industry plant?
No, I don't think
He's
so.
been around for a really long time. That's like a literal garage band.
So who's another recent industry plant?
People thought that Billie Eilish was one. People thought Olivia Rodrigo was one. But really, the truth is, all new pop stars now,
are
and
industry plants.
honestly, like most of them in the past were industry plants.
What about the one who threw his fan's phone in the water?
Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny? That did feel like an industry plant,
he
but
is
Dane,
really big outside of America.
Yeah.
I mean, like he's big in America, but like really big.
Dane says that he's like a hero in Puerto Rico, and that everyone loves this guy. So I was like, okay, I guess it's just a cultural thing.
Matty Healy isn't just because like he didn't come out of nowhere. They were around for a long time, and like,
they've been a band for like over a decade. So
what about Ice Spice? Scott Dawson says Ice Spice.
Oh yeah. Well, this whole thing is actually about Ice Spice.
Okay.
So
what happened?
Matty Healy went on Adam Friedland's podcast, and these guys are like post-liberal edgelords, basically. They started talking about Harry Styles and queer baiting. Matty Healy compared Harry Styles queer baiting to getting an N-word passed from the gay community, because Harry Styles is actually not gay, but he gets to present as gay to be more marketable, right? Mm-hmm. So then they started talking about Ice Spice, and they were making jokes about like how she's kind of racially ambiguous, and started debating what her ethnicity might be.
Didn't they used to say that about Ariana Grande?
Well, Ariana Grande is debated because she just like changes her skin tone constantly. Yeah. So, but Ice Spice is just like, as far as I can tell, is just a biracial black woman. Okay. But anyway, they started like joking about her ethnicity, and they started like mocking different accents and just being like edgelords, whatever. And then Yungblud reacted to this because people were mad at Matty Healy for even interacting with these people. Mm-hmm. Yungblud tweeted, "Love listening to three privileged white dudes sit around and objectify a young black female artist who's blowing up. Welcome to your 30s, I guess."
Whoa, calling him old.
Well, Yungblud is actually like 25 and acts like he's 15, so he doesn't really have room to talk.
No, he's calling Matt Healy old, right? Like
yeah,
he's saying,
yeah.
Like you're no longer cool. Why are you even talking?
Right. So then Matty Healy decided to respond on his Instagram story. I just want to show this video of him imitating Yungblud, basically. He has like this emo face filter on Instagram.
Yeah, right, guys, I'm so fucking angry because someone's blown themselves up in the fucking in the Ukraine, and we're not gonna stand for that because we're the fucking children, the fucking underrated youth fucking generation. And that's so what we stand for. Well, I don't stand for stuff. I stand against stuff. There's not a particular thing that I stand for. I just stand against stuff, and it tends to be the most morally obvious stuff. You know, like that everyone stands for. Fuck the patriarchy.
Like the heavy Yorkshire accent saying patriarchy. Good job. Props to Matty Healy. I love like making fun of male feminists and like Yungblud for being such a preachy.
Also, I thought you weren't supposed to do this. Like, isn't he, what is it called, white knighting? Like, when he comes in and is like, I'm gonna defend.
Oh yeah. Yungblud is committing a crime here as well.
Right. I thought you weren't supposed to do that.
Like, why can't? You don't think Ice Spice can stand up for herself?
Oh my goodness.
You're a misogynist.
Classic patriarchy, thinking they have to defend I don't know why.
I actually heard the term white knighting in an episode of The Pretender from 1996 the other day.
Probably didn't use it in the same context.
Not quite, but it was
It's
still,
evolved for sure.
It was just interesting to hear even the term at all.
Secondly, Matty Healy posted this picture of Yungblud from one of his concerts where he is sitting on a prop toilet and reading a book on this prop toilet.
Which one is this? Is that on here?
I have it on the
I think
tab.com.
it's in the article.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah. So this is like his attempt at performance artistry, I suppose. And Matty Healy says, like, honestly, I feel a bit responsible and I'm really sorry, because Matty Healy is known for doing performance art at his concerts where he, like, notably has eaten raw meat on stage and done push-ups in front of TVs that are playing Ben Shapiro videos, and he's like trying to do a commentary basically on masculinity and the politicization of masculinity and how you present yourself as
and
a
the
man.
performative nature of pop art. I mean, so many of their biggest music videos, the 1975, is like making fun of the fact that people make fun of them for being pop. I mean, there was
and
that
for
one,
being effeminate.
Yeah, there's that one where he's like the clown dancing around like the carnival or whatever. Like, I do feel like in some ways his look and his brand did open the door for some people to be like, oh, we can dress like this and it can be kind of edgy.
And
like,
for people like Yungblud,
exactly,
essentially.
that's what I'm saying. Like, it opened
Yeah.
the door for the industry to be like, well, it's working for them, so we can rip it off. I just don't think sitting on a toilet, reading a book, smoking a cigarette, whatever he's doing is like that.
He's
You're like, I don't
doing
get it.
like
You're
a
like, you're
poor
not supposed to
imitation.
get it.
He's doing a poor
like,
imitation of what Matty
get
Healy has
what?
done.
Like, you're just thinking that you're interesting, but you're not.
Yeah. And also, like, Yungblud is like Harry Styles in that he just dresses up like a little girl on stage and expects everyone to think that it's like revolutionizing like gender roles, and like he's literally a hero just because he wore a tennis skirt.
Do you think
and makeup.
Yungblud is actually low IQ, and so he really just wants to be famous? He wants the affirmation. He's got a crowd of people around him being like, you know, it'd be so cool
And
if you did this thing.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, yeah, I'll do it. 'Cause
Well, yeah,
he
totally.
Can't think for himself because he's
I love the
actually-
idea
his
that we're
whole
talking about a
brand-
person like seriously, where we're saying, do you think Yungblud, and we're like referring to him like that's his name. Like, that's
I mean,
my
I have
favorite
no
part.
idea what his actual name is.
I'm being totally serious. Like, do you think he's low IQ? Do you think that like,
Totally,
part of this is
yeah.
the fact that he like
because
Matty
he's an
Healy-
industry plant and his branding and his image was invented by other people.
And if
he
you
is
can't
an
understand what they're
instrument
trying
of
to get you to represent, then
his
you can't
record
question
label,
it.
yeah.
Whereas like Matty Healy came up with his stuff himself.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, honestly,
Like, do we think Yungblud even wrote that tweet defending whatever her name is?
that, yes.
I feel like he didn't. I
think
feel
he's
like he has a PR person who was like, "Can
he's
you
like
believe this? I'll post
posturing
for you."
so that he can be like better than the other effeminate males on offer right now, I guess. And then I just
Come on, British
I remember
man, get it
like
together.
the only other like impression I have of Yungblud is a video of him like spitting just absolutely viscous spit on his audience.
Yum.
It was actually disgusting. It was like if you have brothers, you know how like they pin you down and like they put a spit
They, like, drip.
rope
Oh, it's
down
so
in your
gross.
face. Yeah, it was like that texture of spit that he was just spit. And okay, this was like a whole controversy because a lot of underage girls go to his concerts because that is his demographic. And he's like spitting disgusting like beer all over his like child audience in the middle of a pandemic, no less.
That's the real problem here.
Which was seen as the real problem. And then
That's
I
the real
also found
pandemic.
this other video of him from a different concert where he's like preaching to an audience from Finland about Uvalde. Like to make a message about a gun violence that's going to go viral in America.
Well-
But to an audience of Finns.
Globalist entertainment, man. They had no idea what he was talking about.
So I don't know if his speech is like super audible here, but
It's a strange day for me. I was so excited to play tonight. But yesterday, after what happened in America, I couldn't help but cry. I couldn't help but be fucking in pain for the fucking 19 children that were fucking...
He literally probably had to go, 19 like
Like if you get any details wrong.
This dude has not a
Matty
single
Healy's
emotion
impression though was
or feeling
spot
at all.
on.
Good, yeah. I think part of it too is, you know, you're in the UK. I'm sure there are European tragedies that you can talk about, right? Like
Exploit, you mean?
The Manchester bombing, except you can't talk about that because it was an Islamist terror attack.
It's super easy to dunk on America, like, oh my gosh, the world thinks we're bad with gun violence. Like, okay, America is bigger than all of Europe. Our states are bigger than
That was
those
a big
countries.
problem during COVID when everybody would be talking about COVID numbers. Like, look at the numbers in Finland. And they're like, you know, America's like 9 zillion times
You can
the
only
size of
compare
the States,
Finland
right?
to like what, Michigan?
Yeah, like
you have to do comparable populations here, team.
that was a very annoying part of
Right,
COVID.
was,
Like,
yeah.
low
See how
IQ.
much better Europeans are than Americans?
That was
This
the
is why
people-
we should be socialists.
That was the people who were
Like,
telling me,
doesn't
like,
make
they're
any
like, look at
sense.
these places where all the women run the countries. We need
No.
more women in
I think-
charge.
There's a podcast called The Political Orphanage or something. I was just listening to the host talk about, like, you can't really compare healthcare in Europe, in these small states, to like America, because if you ask Europeans, like, do you want the EU to run all your healthcare, they're like, no, of course
Well,
not.
we have individual. Like, I mean, this isn't really the point of this podcast. Like, I'm from Minnesota, where we had our own like Minnesota Care healthcare program. If you were low income, right?
For whatever reason, like, you can't expect Europeans to understand the difference, which I think is like rude to the Europeans. With this guy, like, saying, I am so upset about, like, yeah, loss of human life is very serious and very sad, but like,
This is not sincere.
you
though.
are not doing anything.
Nobody's
on this
looking at
stage.
this dude and
play-
thinking he actually cares.
Play the rest of this video. It's just it's too good.
I couldn't help but be fucking
Beats his
in
chest.
pain.
You know,
Fucking in pain.
You know he rehearsed this beforehand.
Yeah.
Fucking killed in two
In Florida, I mean Texas.
And it's so easy for us to say that it's not our problem because we're on the other side of the world. But
It isn't
I
your
believe
problem
in this
because you're on the other side of the
generation.
world.
It's a fucking hole. What we say and what we do will change the fucking world if we stay together. And I am
What
fucking
does that even
angry.
frickin'
I am
mean?
so angry. I am so sad about what happened in America.
To the
We believe
19
you.
children.
But the other thing is, like, he doesn't.
I love the 13-year-old girls just being like,
We go along.
Those are the same people who are saying, like, why can't Israel and Palestine just get along?
Well, he's saying, like, oh, this generation
can't.
is like the hope, right? He's not acknowledging that the shooter was
I'm
of
so
this
fucking
generation.
in pain.
He doesn't acknowledge that this shooter was of the generation that he's saying is the hope of the world. Like,
Right,
what are you
yeah.
doing? You obviously haven't analyzed the situation at all.
This generation is so unequipped to solve any problems,
Why?
actually.
Because we can. Because we fucking can.
It's just dumb.
Nothing changes because Mitch McConnell and 50
Oh no.
Can he?
Then all of these Finnish girls are like, who is Mitch McConnell?
Mitch
but I'm
McConnell-
clapping.
Also, Mitch McConnell is like, who is any of these people? Where is Finland?
Mitch McConnell is like, who is Yungblud?
His granddaughter is trying to explain to him, like, Yungblud talked about it.
His like
it's so
great granddaughter at this point.
Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. Also, like, can he name one single member of British Parliament? That's what bothers me the most. Like, it's so
no.
easy for him to be like, I heard this guy Mitch McConnell's bad. Name one member of British Parliament, Yungblud.
Name 3 of Mitch McConnell's songs. I dare you.
The problem
Tell
is,
me what state Mitch McConnell is
the problem
from.
is like, I agree, Mitch McConnell's awful.
But you
But
at least
not for
probably
your
know-
reasons.
No, but he couldn't tell you what part of government Mitch McConnell is in. He couldn't tell you what
It's
state he's
Literally,
from.
it's like that video of Billie Eilish where she's like, fuck Brett Kavanaugh. And all of
She
the...
probably can tell you what office Brett
I mean, at
Kavanaugh
least
is
she's from
being-
the same country.
Well, and she could probably say, like, he's trying to be a Supreme Court justice. Like, if you
Yeah.
ask Yungblud who is Brett Kavanaugh, I know he'd be like, what,
oh,
is he a
he's
skater?
fucking, you know...
He had done with Matt Healy. I hate him.
It's cooler if Mitch McConnell actually listens to Yungblud and then deletes his music off his phone because he's like, I'm not listening.
I'm standing against this.
He's like, well, you were on my Spotify Rap playlist this year, and now you're not. Like, you're not going to be on my Mitch McConnell Spotify Rap next year because you blamed me for Uvalde.
You know,
How is this not cringe of the day? This should have been cringe
But
of the
it's
day.
old, right? This is from a little while ago.
yeah, this was from a while ago, but you know...
I'm sure he'll give you another cringe of the day soon.
to speak every single day.
With his dramatic music
They
in the background.
never say
Yes.
any. They never actually say any words.
Let him cook.
They never actually have any words to say. This is one of the things that I talk about a lot is like they just say things that sound good but don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
They say slogans from signs.
Did he donate the proceeds of this concert to the Uvalde Relief Fund? No. Like, he used it as a talking point to make himself look better, to generate more social influence and definitely financial influence, and then did nothing about the problem that apparently he's so concerned about. Like, that's what gets me, and I don't think anyone should look past that point.
In terms of sexuality, in terms of gun violence.
I just never want to hear anyone else from the UK talking about American gun violence ever. Like he's like, they might tell us it's not our business because we're on the other side of the world.
No,
and I'm like, yes, it's literally none of your business.
Sure, and if you care about violence, talk about rising knife crimes in the UK, but you're not going to do that because
Or
it's easier
shut the
to say,
fuck up and sing your music, Chud.
That's not an option, Brett.
Dance, monkey. Just do your job.
Yeah. Also, I heard
talks
that
about knife violence. I'm okay with it, but
I heard that a member of his audience on whom he spat beer got an ear infection from it. It's kind of like that story from Warped Tour where Christopher Drew like gave someone a water bottle because they were about to have a heat stroke, and then they got like herpes from him or something. It's just, these people are gross and insincere and preachy and woke, and I'm tired of them. And maybe I don't agree with Matty Healy on most things, but his impression was spot on.
So
And
funny.
these people should be called out and mocked mercilessly because you simply don't know what you're talking about, and you're preaching so that teenage girls will applaud you.
I stand by. Tell me what state Mitch McConnell is from, Yungblud.
It'd be funny if he knows.
He genuinely wondering, please.
He knows all of it, and he's like, he's actually mad because he
I
used to be Mitch
doubt
McConnell's
it.
biggest fan.
He's a pronouns in bio, like fake emo, pop punk wannabe edgelord.
It's gonna be cooler if one day we find out that all of them are just like really like far right, and they're actually just acting.
It will not be funny because speak your actual values. It would be more interesting if he were far right.
I'm more of a
It would be
nihilist, so it'd be kinda
fascinating
funny.
if he were far right and was just openly in Sweden talking, or Finland or wherever, talking about it.
He's like, I love Nick Fuentes.
Oh my gosh.
They are picking the safe things to say, right? Saying America has bad gun violence is the global talking point. No one actually cares. I mean, they say they care. They do nothing about it. Like, you should talk about crime in your own country if you are so concerned with it, right?
Yeah.
But
More
he's not doing
recently, there was a death of a trans teenager named Brianna Gay, I think.
Yeah.
And he had, of course, a tweet saying, utterly heartbroken about the death of 16-year-old Brianna Gay. Protect trans kids every day. Fight relentlessly
What does that
against
mean?
anti-trans sentiment and legislations being pushed on by our heinous government. Rest in peace. And like, I don't even know if are we like talking about the same government?
And okay, actually the sentiment one is kind of broad. I get it. What policies are you talking about? And like, what do you actually mean? And the whole protect them every day thing, it's like, I'm so
Protect
sick.
trans kids.
Protect out all kids.
But
apparently.
also,
But only the way we tell you to protect
yeah,
them,
only the
right?
way that we say is acceptable.
I
If
mean,
you don't want them to get
be fair, they're
irreversible
pop-
medical procedures, you're
No,
not
you're
protecting
harming
them.
them.
Yeah, you're
They're-
harming them.
These are pop artists who are playing lowest common denominator music to the lowest common denominator of audience.
For
So
sure.
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's like, I still believe to this day, I believe that the death of hipster culture came because nobody was willing to wear a MAGA hat, ironically. And one of these people needs to be ironic and start bringing like ironic right-wing talking points into their act.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what Matty Healy is
That's
attempting
a little
to
bit
do,
what he's
honestly.
doing, yeah.
Like, he makes a lot of music that has like lyrics critical of like the leftists and basically like people like Yungblud.
I just get tired of like the political talking point, right? Like,
Yep.
do something more than read the random headlines and say like, oh, this politics said this. Like, think critically about the philosophies that you find like important. Like, read
don't
about
have the
theology,
time
make
for
some
that.
point, go to original source material and produce your own thought. Don't just say, I know this is bad, and so therefore I'm more heartbroken than you could even understand about it because I'm such a good person.
Well, it's like what I was saying about Joaquin Phoenix. He's not saying his own words because he's not actually
None of
doing
them
any of the
are.
research into it. So, thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.